When I was a little kid, before I found a love for Godzilla and even before Pokemon existed, yes, I'm old and that troubles me greatly. Now shush. Before all that, one of my original passions in life was dinosaurs. I remember one time my mom took me to the theaters to see the second Jurassic Park movie, and during the scene where a pack of velociraptors were fighting the main characters in an abandoned building, I was rooting for the dinosaurs to eat them. And I wasn't quiet about it either. Oh, the looks from the other people in the theater as I was cheering the dinosaurs on to rip the humans to shred and eat their entrails. Fond memories. To this day, the first two Jurassic Park films are very nostalgic for me. Even when I hear that beautiful music during the scene of the first one when Grant sees living dinosaurs for the first time, I cry tears of joy whenever I hear that amazing melody.
They do move in herds.
I love dinosaurs, and even today, they're still fascinating to me. I love hearing new things about how they lived, what they are, what they might have looked like, all that. But what if I told you that dinosaurs never existed? That they're all just a figment of scientists' imagination to indoctrinate you into believing evolution? Well, you won't hear that from me because that's a load of crap. But the thing is that there are people who actually think dinosaurs aren't real, that they're just as fictional as werewolves and vampires, though created not by writers but by scientists, all to trick kids into believing in evolution instead of God. I mean, come on. I'm a Christian and dinosaurs were cool and really did exist. A simplified definition of science is the study of the natural world through observation and experiment. We can see, touch, and for the adventurous ones, taste, the remnants of their past existence in the form of fossils. I never heard of anyone denying the existence of dinosaurs until a few months ago. My church's middle school ministry, of which I volunteer with, had a Q&A session with the head pastor and other leaders of the ministry, including myself. One of the last questions asked by a student was, did dinosaurs exist? I chimed in first, just simply stating that fossils exist, so there is physical evidence of them, but then the head pastor stated that on a biblical standpoint, he could understand why some people think they're not real. I was baffled and stayed silent for the moment because I wanted to hear him out on this. He went on for about 5 minutes, but here's a summary of what he said. He mentioned how there are things like behemoths, leviathans, and dragons mentioned in the Bible which some people could conclude to be dinosaurs, seeing the word dinosaur wasn't coined until the mid-1800s. However, he then said that they were all pictures or symbols of the devil, given context of each time one of these beasts are mentioned, and the devil isn't dead and is a spiritual being, so then how could there be any physical evidence of him? He was basically alluding to saying that dinosaurs may not exist because they were pictures of the devil. As politely as I could, I turned to him and tried to counter his point by saying that snakes are also a representation of Satan, and he even became a snake in Genesis, yet snakes exist. He's also described as a lion, and lions exist. The pastor then backpedaled a bit by saying it was just a theory and it could very well be wrong. Also, it's just a guess as to whether or not those beasts in the Bible were dinosaurs, but who really knows because dinosaurs aren't around anymore. But the thing is that these kids are still impressionable to beliefs and we have to let them question things and learn the truth for themselves. We can teach them and guide them, but ultimately they have to have the skills and knowledge to form their own opinions and their own faith, even if that means some of them will no longer believe. Until I questioned my pastor, he presented his arguments in a serious manner without saying these theories are unfounded and are just mere guesswork. And when you put a completely unfounded idea in the heads of these kids, it could confuse them on what's true or not. I don't care if you believe in God or not. Stating or hinting at dinosaurs not existing is neither biblical nor scientific, so no matter what your beliefs are, that statement is undeniably false. I felt like I was listening to Alex Jones, thought that any minute now he was going to say something about turning the frogs gay.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap!
More recently, I was made aware that this was an actual conspiracy theory and not just something one individual I know personally suggests. I mean, I understand people wanting to question the validity of something like evolution, but saying dinosaurs don't exist despite literal tons of physical evidence disproving that? Come on, man. There's having faith, being strong in your relationship with Christ, and then there's being a crazy nutbag that gives Christians a bad reputation of being science deniers. And that brings us to the video we are looking at today. To be fair, I can't tell if this guy is a troll or not. The entire channel is confusing to me, so I'm going to hope it is. There's a lot of weird conspiracy theories and poorly made anti-evolution videos there. But even if this is just a troll video, there will be people who believe this and who do have this mindset. It wasn't made with a comedic or sarcastic appearance either, like the person making this was trying to be serious. Plus, when researching, this theory of dinosaurs not existing is something some people believe. It's like a paleontology version of flat earthers or crap like that. And while researching this claim, I came across articles of pro sports athletes who believe the story, so it seems to be true that at least a few people believe it. Some may have found videos like this and believe this conspiracy theory. So to me, it's still worth checking out its claims even if the guy is trolling, which again, I hope he is, and I'm just making this response in the hopes of dissuading someone from believing a troll. I mean, I never thought anyone seriously had any doubts about the existence of dinosaurs until that day in church. So I'm going to take the bait on this one on the chance this video was meant to be taken seriously. But I'm actually seriously hoping this is a waste of time and this guy is just trolling because, wow, this one is a weird. It's a weird. Also, the video has no voiceover, just text flying across the screen. I'll have a summarized version of the questions presented on the top corner of my response, so you don't have to feel the need to pause this to read the arguments presented. You can if you want to, I'm not gonna stop you. But with that said, let's get started. One theory that can explain this is that when the meteor struck the planet, the impact filled the atmosphere with sulfur trioxide, which caused massive amounts of acid rain. Animals in the shallows wouldn't be able to survive, many of which were food for the larger sea creatures, and they eventually died off from a lack of food. In the modern world, we can see predators facing extinction due to lack of food and mass environmental changes. Besides poaching, a big reason the Komodo dragon is endangered and unable to repopulate in some areas is due to loss of habitat from wildfires, earthquakes, and volcanic activity, as well as their food source dying off. The island of Padar had their entire population of dragons die off in 1975 due to a lack of prey. So it's completely reasonable to believe that the large marine reptiles could not sustain themselves long term after the meteor because their food source were too few in numbers to sustain them. We see it happening today with animals like the Komodo dragon, so it's a logical assumption of what happened back then. You know, I almost didn't make this video. I was close to just deciding to ignore it and move on. Not because of any suspicion this guy's channel is a troll account or not, but because of this point here. I'm a Christian, and this is making me defend evolution. This video is making a Christian defend evolution. That hurts my head as I ponder this concept. It just feels wrong on so many levels, but I'm gonna do it anyway. According to evolutionary scientists, dinosaurs were more closely related to birds rather than reptiles. Their bone structure and proteins from what's left of their DNA codes are evident of this when comparing them with modern birds. There are a lot of animals today that are related that look nothing alike. The elephant, which is a huge pachyderm, is related to the rock hyrax, a small rodent. Bears are related to both dogs and seals, and the closest relative to armadillos are sloths. Whether or not it's true that some dinosaurs evolved into modern birds, you can't deny that there's some commonality between the two. Scientists theorize things like this because there seems to be evidence suggesting it. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest here about things. When you believe in God, when you're a Christian, it's called having faith. Faith, in a biblical definition, is believing in something that has little to no physical proof of its existence. Outside of the Bible, there is very little evidence of God existing other than anecdotal evidence, and in my personal opinion, that is by design. It's why when Christians believe in the Word of God, When we say we believe what that book says, it's out of faith, and it's a choice. We either choose to have faith or not to believe at all. Science doesn't work like that. It's almost the opposite. As I said before, science is learning about the physical world through observation and experiment. Scientists can't observe or experiment with the spiritual things, only physical evidence. And based on physical evidence, the theory of dinosaurs evolving into birds and them being relatives is more believable than just outright denying evolution altogether. This video is looking at it from a stereotypical creationist perspective, and it's doing so in a way that doesn't provide counterarguments. It's just, oh, well, points A and B don't make sense to me, so therefore the theory is wrong. It's similar to just saying, humans can't have evolved from apes because there's still apes living today. It just doesn't work like that. And I'm explaining all this because this is why evolutionists are able to out-debate a creationist more often than the other way around. It's physical evidence versus spiritual faith. Most of the time, creationists only ask these types of questions like the ones presented in this video. It's like a "ha! Gotcha" type of argument that can easily be countered with just the smallest amount of physical proof. It proves nothing other than showing that the person asking these kinds of questions don't have a basic grasp on science. I'm not saying this to debunk my own faith or creationist theories as a whole, because I'm still a Christian. I still believe God's word, that Jesus is the Son of God and all that. But again, that's faith. Without the Bible, it is very hard to justify why I believe what I believe. And when someone makes a video like the one we're looking at, or asks these kind of questions, you can tell they're just trying to justify their faith at the expense of a scientific community. I personally believe you can both be a Christian and love science. I've accepted God into my life when I was 12, but I'm also not a science denier. And so when I see videos like this, when I hear arguments presented in this manner, I just don't think that's having a strong faith. It sounds more like an insecurity that someone has and is trying to justify it by simply stating unfounded questions like this and presenting it as the truth. But that's enough of me ranting, let's continue, shall we? First off, how dare you make me watch a much worse version of the saddest scene from Jurassic Park 3. Those wounds still hurt. And according to evolutionists, not every species of dinosaur died out during the mass extinction. The ones who survived may have died out from failing to adapt to new environmental changes, but some did succeed in adapting, eventually becoming birds. I could explain this in more detail, but that's boring and I've already talked too long. There's a link in the description that goes to an article that explains the theory of dinosaurs evolving into birds in greater detail. There's even a picture or two. Check it out. So you use a single hoax to disprove all of evolution? A hoax definitely can't prove evolution is real, but the same hoax also can't prove evolution is false. Nice cherry picking, but that one hoax doesn't disprove evolution as a whole. Yeah, the Archaeoraptor was a hoax. Even before publication, it was very doubtful this thing existed. There was already controversy within the scientific community before its appearance in National Geographic, and over the next couple of years, scientists studied it to reveal it's a forgery. If scientists wanted to indoctrinate people over evolution, then why would they expose one of their own discoveries as false? But again, one hoax doesn't prove evolution as a whole to be false, just that this one instance was fake. This is also cherry picking. For the last time, just because some discoveries turn out to be false, it doesn't mean that the entire theory should be cast aside. The reason why theories change is because science as a whole is about discovery and learning from what we can see and experiment with. When new information arises that add to a theory, that can change the talking points of such discoveries, like dinosaurs being related to birds and some may have had feathers. Other discoveries may contradict the past experiments and have stronger evidence supporting them, so then the theory changes to fit said discoveries. But if I keep talking, I'll just be repeating the same arguments over and over, so I'll end it here. Let me know your thoughts, and with all that, I'll see y'all later.
They do move in herds.